Before last year's presidential election, and really for decades, people have been claiming that there's no meaningful difference between the two major political parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, and their respective candidates. So with the new president's first 10 weeks behind us, I've collected a brief list of the ways the last 10 weeks would have been different had the election gone the other way. This list includes just the highlights. Or should I say lowlights? I'll let you be the so-called judges. Had the election gone the other way, we wouldn't have a president who has signed executive orders to roll back Obamacare, move forward with the Keystone and Dakota pipelines, authorize the building of a Great Wall on our southern border, hire 5,000 additional border guards, cut funds to sanctuary cities, and ban people of whatever religion from 7 majority Muslim countries from traveling to America. We wouldn't have a president who wants to roll back the Dodd-Frank financial regulations put in place after the financial collapse, who repealed the rule that required companies involved in resource extraction to disclose payments made to foreign governments, who delayed a rule requiring financial advisors to act in their clients' best interest when giving retirement advice, who proposed a repeal of Obamacare, which cut coverage for low-income and elderly citizens while giving a $600 billion tax break to the wealthiest Americans. We wouldn't have a president who is now allowing coal companies to dump waste in our waterways, whose proposed budget would gut the EPA, education, and Big Bird in favor of a massive military buildup, who rolled back the previous administration's regulations put in place to fight climate change. We wouldn't have a president who lied about the size of the crowds gathered at her inauguration, who wanted tanks rolling down the street at her inauguration, who lied saying that 3 to 5 million illegal immigrants voted in our election, all for her opponent. Nor would we require an investigation to look into this baseless claim. We wouldn't have a president who, without any evidence, accused the previous president of committing a felony, calling him a bad, sick guy. Nor would we have been distracted by this and her refusal to back down from this baseless, debunked claim for the last month. We wouldn't have a president who is at war with the media and who called institutions like the New York Times and other mainstream media outlets the enemy of the American people, who called the members of our judiciary so-called judges, who has nothing but good to say of a man who cyber-attacked our country and election, according to our various intelligence agencies. We wouldn't have a president who appointed a white nationalist to the Security Council. We wouldn't have a president who wouldn't shake the hand of Angela Merkel. We wouldn't have a president who had to fire her national security advisor after just 24 days, or have an attorney general who had to recuse himself from the investigation into possible Trump campaign ties with Russia because he too had contacts with the Russians. We wouldn't have a Secretary of State who is the former head of ExxonMobil and who is obviously terrified of reporter Andrea Mitchell. Finally, there is not a doubt in my mind that a President Clinton would not have picked people to head the various cabinet departments and agencies who had either no previous experience in government or had previously expressed a desire to kill the very departments which they are now running. Rick Perry, who wanted to do away with the Department of Energy, of which he is now the secretary, didn't even know when accepting the job that the DOE was in charge of our nuclear weapons. Perhaps that doesn't sound like a big deal to you, but please remember what happened the last time a president put someone in charge of a federal agency who had no business serving in that capacity. Think Katrina. Think Brownie. Think I see dead people. Of course there's more, but I just bored the crap out of myself, and there's really no one on the planet who enjoys listening to me more than me. So I can only imagine what you're going through. And we're just 10 weeks in. Now, I'm not even passing judgment on these things. You may like where this administration is taking the country. My disagreement is irrelevant. My only point here is that our country becomes a very different country based on who we decide to put into office. Yeah, the Republicans and the Democrats play on the same field with the same ball, with the same set of rules, and are even part of the same system corrupted by oodles and oodles of corporate and special interest money. But they do not wear the same uniform. And who wins the game has very different consequences for those of us in the stands. If the last 10 weeks haven't convinced you, what possibly could?